Hello, welcome to our new series about cloud computing, security, and open source. I'm joined by Jurlind Budurushi, Cybersecurity Officer at Cloudical. Today we start with a general look at the topic security. And what is security?
Yeah, good morning, Frederica. I'm very happy that we are doing this series together. Yeah, what is security? We at Cloudical aim to push a holistic view on security. So we define security as a continuous, integral, multi-layered, multi-dimensional process chain. Yeah, you're laughing. I'm going to explain a little bit more of
Yeah,
what it means.
please.
Yeah. That encompasses technology, people, the environment, and their interactions. So this is how we define or how we see security. In other words, we see security as a process, a continuous one, and not as a product. So what I mean with continuous? In that, security is a process, not a product, and that needs to be continually monitored, evaluated, and of course adapted. And what did I mean by integral? Integral is the process has to be integrated and started from the beginning of an IT project. Not doing your starting RT project and then thinking about your usually non-functional security requirements and then aiming or trying to address them, but do this from the beginning. So what it means with multi-layered, we know that technology consists of different layers, as well physical and logical. So for each of these layers, it is necessary to identify and implement adequate security measures. This is similar to the term security in depth that you probably might have encountered in your daily life. Another criteria, another feature that we say it's multidimensional. And what do we mean by multidimensional? And this encompasses our physical and cyber world, which in turn consists, of course, of the technology, the people that are using this technology, the surrounding environment where the technology is being used and where it lies, and last but not least, also the interactions thereof.
It sounds for the beginning very complicated, but we will get into this topic and explain everything and every question. But for now, what are the goals of security?
Well, security aims to address different goals. There are many, I would say, but the most well-known are first, confidentiality, which refers to the concealment or protection of data from unauthorized disclosure. So, and confidentiality can be achieved, for instance, through access control mechanisms. In other words, you prevent or do not allow people to get access to certain data. So this is how you keep or protect them, and you keep them secret. Or through cryptography, in other words, encrypting or scrambling the data to make it incomprehensible. So even if someone has access to the data, the person is unable to make sense of this data as it is scrambled. Another important aspect of confidentiality is also data hiding, not only protecting, and which, for instance, this can be achieved by steganography, and this is the practice of concealing messages or secret messages within ordinary messages, and this is also a different technique that you would use to achieve confidentiality. The next one of the goals that is also the most one of the let's say the triad of CIA is integrity, which refers to the trustworthiness of the data, usually phrased in terms that data it is complete and it has not been changed. So integrity mechanism, though, fall into two different classes. So we have prevention and detection. So on the one side, we want to prevent things to be changed by unauthorized people, or on the other side, if this happens, we want to detect. So prevention aims to maintain the integrity of the data by blocking any attempts to change the data. Let's say for users that have no authority, someone external that actually has no authority to access resources or data, or any attempts that change the data in an unauthorized way. Means that users that have authority to work with the data, to process the data, or systems, however, they change, or they would change the data in a way that this is not allowed, and this corrupts the system. Well, the former can be achieved by implementing adequate authentication mechanisms and access controls, while the latter, meaning the one preventing unauthorized changes for users that do have authority to change the data. This is requires very different mechanisms, and it's very context specific. So I won't go now into details of every specific context. So on the other hand, detection does not aim to prevent any change or violations of the integrity as a goal. Rather, it simply aims to report that the data is no longer trustworthy. The data has been changed in a manner that was not as the original data was. And this can be achieved by, for instance, using hash functions for identifying the integrity of data. The next one is availability, which refers to the ability of to use the desired data, services, resources, you can name it as you want, at the desired time. The aspect of availability, which is important to security, is that someone may deliberately arrange or would deny access to services by making those unavailable. And this can be achieved by using mechanisms that ensure availability when statistical model hold. So you would identify what you call like normal behavior, and this, in other words, how much resources do you need in peak times, and how much data you use. So you would identify those data, and you make sure that you have enough components and enough resources so that you can deal with that kind of requests. So this is what you do. However, this is very difficult in practice, especially against so-called denial of service attacks or distributed denial of service attacks, because it is very difficult to identify whether the requests are legitimate requests from users, and the peak is just changed from something that we know months ago while we were studying what infrastructure do we need, or what application need to deal with requests, and that might have changed just in time, and there is no attack there. So it's very difficult to understand or to identify them. So therefore, in practice, we usually talk about high availability, which is the property of the system to still deliver services, even when a system component fails. So you would back up a service with many services with, let's say, you would scale so that if some gets attacked, then other ones can take over. So this is it. And you will have other goals are, for example, pseudonymity, anonymity, non-repudiation, etc.
That's really a holistic view at security. But for now, we are talking about terms. So in the area of security, we also hear the word safety. Could you explain what the difference is between security and safety?
Sure. So under safety, I would say in German, we usually use the term Sicherheit, and in English you have this difference between security and safety. But safety in German, let's say the term that needs to be used when you talk about safety, it's Funktionssicherheit. So I'm just saying this for if there are any German speaking or listeners that they are probably would know how they can differentiate this even from a terminology perspective. So, and under safety, we understand the property of a system, which it is as is functionality, so what it is doing for the moment matches the specified target or desired functionality, how we specify that the system should work. So in other words, a safe system does not take any functional impermissible states. So it doesn't take any states that are not permissible, that they are not allowed. So in other words, the system works under normal conditions without being attacked, without any like power. If we don't have any power anymore, so if whatever a catastrophic situation, an emergency situation, the system works as it was specified. To ensure that the system is safe, concepts and methods are used to address threats, but these threats usually arise from internal technical malfunctions of the systems. So we're talking here from internal malfunction of the systems. And such threats can arise, for instance, by the systems are built by humans, are programmed by humans. We do make errors. This can be intentionally or unintentionally. This just is in our nature. For instance, for programming errors, we can use concept and mechanisms of programming validation and verification. So validation means you would do a lot of testing and make sure that you have, let's say, a sufficient coverage of all the functionality of the system, and you make sure that it works as expected. While verification, you would go on to formalizing the system and the application or the functions, and make sure from a formal perspective, meaning a mathematical verification, proof that the system, it will or it is implemented as it was specified. I must add maybe just one more thing, so that safety is a kind of premise for dependability, under where dependability means that a system that does not take any functional impermissible state, in other words, it's safe, and the guarantee that the specified or targeted functionality is served in a reliable way or is performed reliably.
So when we go deeper into technical security, safety is also involved in some of the solutions.
Sure.
Yeah, cool. To stay at the term security, in media, internet, something like that, we are meeting terms like information security, IT security, cybersecurity. Does that mean the same, or are there differences?
They are differences from a theoretical and also from a practical perspective. What you would need to understand what actually you mean with that. So when we say about information security, this means we want to protect information which can be stored and processed on paper, in computers, and also in people's head. When we talk about IT security, we focus on protection of the information which is stored and processed in computers, in technology. While cybersecurity covers all the aspects of security in information and communication technology. So hence, when we talk about security in cloud computing, which is one of our pillars in the series, we practically mean cybersecurity.
Okay. That's pretty easy to understand. Last question for today. What can I assume to be 100% secure? Maybe in a cybersecurity.
Yeah, this question is often asked. So, but there is unfortunately no 100% security or secure system. So even when implementing all necessary, of course, from context-specific security mechanisms, following the best practice, there is always a remaining risk that something may go wrong. And by citing the well-known Murphy's Law, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. This means that at the end of the business day, security is equal to risk management. So, however, in order to be able to manage risk adequately, I would like to sum it up and conclude with following takeaways. You need to know your environment, the specific context. You need to know your people. You need to know your technology, hardware and software. Know your network and know your security mechanisms that you are implementing within your environment.
Okay, even if it's not 100% secure, we can achieve a secure environment.
Yes, that is true.
Great. Thank you so much for this first insights. Next time, we will talk about the topic cybersecurity or cloud computing, where we will want to define the area we want to talk about the security is needed. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks to you, and see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.